I hope that you are well, and I also hope that you are having a good day so far. Today, we'll be doing our grade 7 English lesson on misplaced and dangling modifiers. So, misplaced and dangling modifiers. And before we go into our lesson, right, and basically go deeper into what it is, we're going to log into aplusstudents.ca. Once we've logged into aplusstudents.ca with our username as well as our password, and then we're going to select the subject of language arts, grade 7, and then we're going to scroll down up until we get to our chapter of misplaced and dangling modifiers. So misplaced and dangling modifiers. All right. So our chapter is misplaced and dangling modifiers. Our subject is English language arts. Grade 7. And the lessons that we're going to focus on under the chapter of misplaced and dangling modifiers is misplaced modifiers with pictures, select the misplaced or dangling modifiers, and are the modifiers used correctly? So that is going to be our lessons for today under the chapter of misplaced and dangling modifiers. All right. So basically, when it comes to misplaced and dangling modifiers, this literally sounds like something that we've never heard before because it's like, okay, misplaced, it's like when you misplace something, right? But dangling modifiers, so a modifier is a word or phrase that modifies or describes another word or phrase. So a modifier is a word or a phrase that modifies or describes another word or phrase. And usually when we talk about modifying, then we either talk about adjectives or adverbs, right? That either describes or modifies another word, or the noun or the verb, for example. But in this case, a modifier, so a modifier, it is a word or phrase that modifies or it describes another word or a phrase. And when a modifier seems to describe something other than what's intended, then the resulting sentence can suggest a confusing or even nonsensical meaning, right? It's almost like it's like you're going off topic, right? Because I made an example earlier on when I said that it's an example when I said that, let's say, an adjective or an adverb, right? It either describes or it modifies the noun or the verb, right? But like in this case, right, a modifier, it also seems to describe something, right? But when this modifier, for example, seems to describe something other than what it is intended, right? It's almost like it's going off topic and it's not describing what it's intended to describe, right? Then the resulting sentence can either be confusing or even nonsensical meaning. It's no meaning. It's not making sense at all, right? The sentence, like we would say, is not sentencing. And then that is where we come to our word of misplaced modifier. So a misplaced modifier, right? It is a modifier that appears to modify the wrong word or the wrong phrase because it is too far from the word or the phrase that it should modify. For example, right, if we look at the sentence over here that says, Winston saw monkeys and peacocks on vacation in India. So sometimes you may think that the sentence sounds correct, right? Because it indicates that you're on vacation, but actually this means that the monkeys, the actual monkey, as well as the actual peacock is actually on vacation, not that you are in vacation. Which means that this is called a misplaced modifier, right? Because it's basically modifying either the wrong word or it's modifying the wrong phrase. But if we correct that, right? If we correct that, then we can say on vacation in India. Now we know, you were on vacation in India. Winston saw monkeys and peacocks. So it's not the monkeys and the peacocks that is on vacation living their best life. No, Winston was on vacation, and that is when he saw monkeys and peacocks. Right? So, once again, a misplaced modifier, right? It is a modifier that appears to modify either the wrong word or the wrong phrase because it is either too far from the word or it is too far from the phrase that it should modify. And then a dangling modifier, right? So we first said that the misplaced modifier, right? It's when the modifier is, it's like when the wrong word or the wrong thing is being used within the sentence, right? When you describe something that is not, it's not correctly described, that is a misplaced modifier. Now we have a dangling modifier, right? And a dangling modifier, it is a modifier that appears to modify either the wrong word or phrase because of the word or phrase that it should modify is missing from the sentence. So the word or the phrase that should be modified or should be described is missing from the phrase from the sentence. So if we look at the sentence, it says trying to fall asleep, the sheets felt uncomfortably hot. So trying to fall asleep, the sheets felt uncomfortably hot. And if we reread that sentence again, it says, trying to fall asleep, the sheets felt comfortably hot, right? And they're suggesting that this is a dangling modifier because it is suggesting that the sheets were trying to fall asleep, but not you were trying to fall asleep. So there's something missing. Something missing which suggests that you are falling asleep and not the sheets are falling asleep. And an example, right, of how we fixed our dangling modifier, then it means that we can say, trying to fall asleep, I felt comfortably hot in the sheets. Now we know that the I suggests that I, as the person, fell asleep and not the sheets fell asleep because the sheets were too hot. And in this case, the sentence includes the noun that the modifier is intended to describe. All right. So a dangling modifier is when a modifier that appears to modify the wrong word or the wrong phrase because of either a word or the phrase that it should modify that is missing from a sentence. Right? All right. And we are doing our tutorial lesson on aplusstudents.ca. So we're going to aplusstudents.ca. And our chapter is to misplaced and dangling modifiers. So basically, make misplaced modifiers, dangling modifiers. So we are going to our first lesson, which is misplaced modifiers with pictures. So which sentence better matches the image? All right, you have a telephone that is chilling on a couch, reading a book. And once again, we said a modifier is a word or phrase that modifies or describes another word or phrase. And when a modifier seems to describe something other than it's intended to, then the resulting sentence can suggest a confusing or even nonsensical meaning. And then we have a misplaced modifier, which is a modifier that appears to modify the wrong word or wrong phrase because it is too far from the word or the phrase that it should modify. And we made an example of the monkey and the peacock that is on vacation. So with certain words that is missing, or if a sentence is not properly, you know, written, then definitely we will have misplaced modifiers where it will suggest something else, right? But it means something different. And then we have a dangling modifier. And a dangling modifier is a modifier that appears to modify either the wrong word or the wrong phrase because the word or the phrase that it should modify is missing from a sentence. So there's a word or a letter missing from the sentence. For example, we said trying to fall asleep, the sheets felt uncomfortably hot. So in this case, it seems like the sheets are getting hot and not the person or thing is getting hot. But if we, for example, fix that, we can say, trying to fall asleep, I felt uncomfortably hot. So now it is basically a person or thing that is getting hot. Well, let's say person. So it includes a noun that the modifier is intended to describe. All right. And we specifically said if we look at this picture, right, they say which sentence better matches the image. Like if we look at this picture once again, we have the telephone that is on the couch, basically relaxing or chilling and reading a book. So now we need to choose the correct sentence that matches, let's say, that picture. So do we say after passing a leisurely morning reading in the living room, the telephone rang? All right. So we need to suggest one of these sentences. It says either after passing a leisurely morning reading in the living room, the telephone rang, or after passing a leisurely morning reading in the living room, I heard the telephone ring, right? So option one is correct. All right. So we need to now suggest again which picture matches the, or which sentence better matches the image. And if we look at this image, right, then this is basically, let's say, a mountain with snow on, but it looks like an old man with almost like a cloak type of thing on. And if we choose, let's say, which sentence best matches the picture, then we have two sentences here. It says, squinting against the sunlight, the mountain's snowy peak came into view. So it's either saying squinting against the sunlight, the mountain's snowy peak came into view, or squinting against the sunlight, I saw the mountain's snowy peak come into view. And if we look at the first one, it says squinting against the sunlight, the mountain's snowy peak came into view. So in that case, it gives us the idea that the mountain, right? And if we choose the correct one, all right. So we said that squinting against the sunlight, the mountain snowy peak came into view. So it's almost like then to show that the mountain is the one whose snowy peak came into view. But if we say, I saw the mountain, right, then it definitely suggests that somebody saw it, right? It's not just the mountain who flourished his snowy peak, right, and saw it for himself. All right. If we look at this sentence, right, it says, this looks like a backpack that actually smiles and looks very naughty, as if the backpack did something. It's almost like the backpack did something naughty. So now it says which sentence best matches the image. So it says, eager for the day to begin, my backpack was ready to go and waiting by the door. Or for the day to begin, I had my backpack ready to go and waiting by the door. So in this case, remember I said that if we look at the backpack looks kind of naughty as if it did something. So which means that it gives us the idea that this backpack, this backpack is eager to start the day, right? So it's almost like the dangling modifier, right? Where we, for example, let's say either add the wrong context to it, but it looks like this bag is ready to leave to go to school, right? But if we change that, then we can say, I had my backpack ready to go waiting by the door, not necessarily your backpack walking to the door, right? All right, so now let's go to our test. So we're going to begin test where we are going to misplace modifiers with pictures. So if we look at the picture, right, we need to say which sentence better matches the image. We have a girl with an oversized big t-shirt, right? Looks like it's in the laundry room. So we need to suggest the correct or choose the correct answer or sentence. So which sentence better matches the image? It says, after being shrunk in the wash, Molly's favorite sweater no longer fit her. Or is it after being shrunk in the wash, Molly no longer fits into her favorite sweater? So is it the first option or the second option? Which one suggests the correct? Which sentence is correct? Or sounds correctly? Or is phrased correctly? It says, after being shrunk in the wash, Molly's favorite sweater no longer fits her. Or after being shrunk in the wash, Molly no longer fits into her favorite sweater. So we need to say that option one or option two. And these are our dangling modifiers. So it says after being shrunk in the wash, meaning before it was shrinking, Molly's favorite t-shirt or sweater no longer fits her. Or after being shrunk in the wash, Molly no longer fits into her favorite t-shirt or sweater. All right, let's say Molly no longer fits into her favorite t shirt, right? So basically, Molly no longer fits into a favorite t shirt because it has shrink within the washing. All right, so which sentence better matches the image? I think is that a bee playing soccer? It says Mary was stung by a bee playing soccer in the park, or playing soccer in the park, Mary was stung by a bee. Which sentence is correct? Not a misplaced modifier. So it says Mary was stung by a bee playing soccer in the park, or playing soccer in the park, Mary was stung by a bee. We need to choose the correct sentence. Is it the first option or is it the second option? So if we look at the first option, right, it says Mary was stung by a bee playing soccer in the park, then it means that they are saying that this this bee was playing soccer in the park. That is what they're saying, that the bee was playing soccer in the park. So Mary was stung by a bee that was playing soccer in the park. That is what they mean by the first one. And then the second option says, playing soccer in the park, Mary was stung by a bee, which indicates that Mary was playing soccer in the park when she was stung by a bee. Oh, so Mary was stung by a bee playing soccer in the park. So that means basically we need to match the picture directly with what the sentence says. But well done, is it Michelle? Michelle, you were correct. So we basically need to then directly, I thought we need to put the correct sentence, but it seems like we need to put the sentence that matches the specific picture. So if planted well and watered regularly, most flowers can be expected to bloom in the springtime. Or if planted well and watered regularly, gardeners can expect most flowers to bloom in the springtime. So we need to choose the correct sentence that better matches the image. So if planted well and watered regularly, most flowers can be expected to bloom in the springtime. Or if planted well and watered regularly, gardeners can expect most flowers to bloom in the springtime. So we need to choose the correct sentence that better matches the image. All right, then if we choose the sentence that better matches the image, then we can say if planted well and watered regularly, gardeners can expect most flowers to bloom in springtime. And there they show those pictures, which indicates the gardeners. Which sentence matches the image, right? Eva built a bookshelf as a gift for her uncle made entirely out of cherry wood, or Eva built a bookshelf made entirely out of cherry wood as a gift for her uncle. So we need to say which sentence better matches the image. First option, which says Eva built a bookshelf as a gift for her uncle made entirely out of cherry wood, or Eva built a bookshelf made entirely out of cherry wood as a gift for her uncle. So basically, the sentence needs to directly match the picture. So we shouldn't try to correct the picture, right? And if we select the sentence that better matches the image, then we can go with option 1 that says Eva built a bookshelf as a gift for her uncle made entirely out of cherry wood. And if you can see, here we have an image where the uncle looks like he is built or made out of cherry wood. So well done. A is correct, or option A is correct, right? If we look at this picture, right, we have a monkey that's sipping on some cocktails. It says, my family saw a monkey on vacation in Vietnam, or on vacation in Vietnam, my family saw a monkey. So which one is the correct option? My family saw a monkey on vacation in Vietnam, or on vacation in Vietnam, my family saw a monkey. All right, and if we choose the sentence that better matches the image, it says my family saw a monkey on vacation in Vietnam, or on vacation in Vietnam, my family saw a monkey. Right? So there we have the monkey that is on vacation, sipping on cocktails, chilling, and living his best life. Right? So the first option was correct. So we basically misplaced modifiers with pictures where we had to match the sentence that directly matches the picture. Now we're going to select the misplaced and dangling modifiers. And we see the modifier is a word or phrase that modifies or describes another word or another phrase. And once again, a misplaced modifier is a modifier that appears to modify either the wrong word or the wrong phrase because it is either too far from the word or either too far from the phrase that it should modify. For example, Winston saw monkeys and peacocks on vacation in India, right? Which means that this sentence then indicates that the monkeys and the peacocks were the ones that were on vacation. So basically, the misplaced modifier is that it was the monkeys and the peacocks that was on vacation in India. So which means that it is wrongly suggested that the monkeys and the peacocks were on vacation. And if we were maybe to correct that, then we can say that on vacation in India, Winston saw monkeys and peacocks. So now it's like he saw the actual animal, the monkeys and the peacocks, while him, which is Winston, was on vacation. But the first option of when Winston saw the monkeys and peacocks on vacation in India, that suggests that the pink peacocks and the monkeys were actually on vacation. All right. So a dangling modifier is a modifier that either appears to modify the wrong word or the phrase because the word or the phrase that it should modify is missing from the sentence. For example, trying to fall asleep, the sheets felt uncomfortably hot, and that sentence suggests that the sheets were actually getting hot while they were trying to fall asleep. The sheets were trying to fall asleep. But if we correct that, then it's like saying trying to fall asleep, comma, I felt uncomfortably hot in the sheets. So now this specifically suggests that the person that was trying to fall asleep, not the sheets trying to fall asleep. All right. So basically, we have our misplaced as well as dangling modifiers, right? And yes, it is our first time that we went over dangling as well as misplaced modifiers. I think in our next lesson, we are going to go over dangling and misplaced modifiers again, right? And then we will basically continue the lesson on it. But for now, we say the misplaced modifier is a modifier that appears to modify the wrong word or phrase because it is far from the word or phrase that it should modify. And then a dangling modifier is a modifier that appears to modify the wrong word or phrase because the word or phrase that it should modify is missing from the sentence. And earlier on, we had to misplace modifiers with the pictures. Let's say the direct, um, basically directly as to what the picture shows, right? All right, so this is now the end of our lesson on misplaced and dangling modifiers. Thank you very much for joining our class. Thank you very much for interacting, giving answers. Um, Till next time, you must have a good evening further. Goodbye.